Commander Jaiwan Park stood at the viewing window of Galactic Confederation Station Alpha, watching Earth grow smaller as the station continued its orbit. She sighed deeply, the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. 6 months had passed since humanity's acceptance into the Confederation, and the novelty had worn off quickly. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal her aide, Miho. "The council session begins in 10 minutes, he said, handing her a data tablet. "They've added another topic to the agenda." Jaiwan skimmed the screen and frowned. "Another inspection of our mining operations? That's the third this month. The Valbraxians claim they need to ensure we're following environmental protocols." She knew better. The Proxima Centauri system contained rare minerals that the Confederation coveted. The frequent inspections were just excuses to map human resources. When Jaiwan entered the council chambers, the usual hush fell over the assembled representatives. Though humans had been accepted as Confederation members, they were classified as Deathworlders, species that evolved on planets considered extremely harsh by galactic standards. This designation came with unspoken fears and restrictions. The council president, a tall being with silvery skin, called the meeting to order. First item, resource sharing protocols for the human territories. A Mendaxian representative rose. His translucent skin glowed blue with excitement. "Our surveys indicate abundant platinum deposits in the human colony on Proxima Centauri 3. Under Confederation Charter, these resources must be shared for the common good." Jaiwan stood. "The colony is barely established. Our settlers need those resources to build their infrastructure." "The needs of the many outweigh the desires of the few," countered the Valbraxian delegate. "Humans agreed to resource sharing when joining the Confederation." "We agreed to fair sharing," Jaiwan said firmly. "The proposed extraction would cripple our colony's development." The debate continued for hours. Jaiwan watched with growing frustration as the other species united against human interests. When the vote came, it was no surprise, the Confederation would begin immediate extraction operations on Proxima Centauri 3. Later that day, Jaiwan met with Defense Minister Hyojin in the secure human embassy. "How bad was it?" Hyojin asked, pouring 2 cups of coffee. "They're taking everything they can. Our colonists might as well be working for the Confederation now." Jaiwan accepted the cup gratefully. "Did you read Admiral Kim's report?" Hyojin nodded grimly. "His ships were forced to stand down during the last inspection. The Confederation vessels took twice the approved mineral quota. We're being exploited," Hyojin. "Classified as dangerous but treated like resources." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. Hyojin's face paled as she read it. "There's been an incident at the Proxima mining facility. 3 human workers are dead." The official report called it an accident, a regrettable malfunction during the installation of Confederation equipment. But when Jaiwan and Hyojin viewed the security footage privately, they saw something different. The workers had argued with Confederation supervisors about unsafe extraction speeds. Minutes later, the tunnel supports failed. Admiral Taehyun Kim's voice was tight with controlled anger during their secure call that evening. "My ships could have reached the colony in time to evacuate the injured workers," he said. "But the Confederation patrol blocked our path, claiming security protocols." Jaiwan stared at the faces of the dead miners on her screen. One was barely 20 years old, a recent graduate eager to help build humanity's future among the stars. "We're playing by their rules," she said quietly. "Maybe that's our mistake." 2 days later, Jaiwan stood before the Confederation Council again. This time, she brought evidence of the mining incident. "These deaths were preventable," she asserted. The workers warned about unsafe conditions created by accelerated extraction. The council president looked uncomfortable. "The investigation classifies this as an unfortunate accident. No one could have predicted the structural failure." "Our engineers predicted it," Jaiwan countered. "They were ignored." The Valbraxian representative waved a dismissive appendage. "Humans are known to be overly cautious due to their primitive survival instincts.
The extraction schedules were scientifically determined.
As the council moved to close the matter without action, Jaiwan felt something change inside her. The diplomatic smile she had maintained for months slipped away. "We came to the Confederation in good faith," she said. "We have followed your rules, accepted your restrictions, and shared our resources.
In return, our people are dying while you call it an accident."
The room fell silent at her tone.
"Consider this a formal protest," Jaiwan continued. "And a warning. Humans have been patient. We have been diplomatic. But we will not sacrifice our people for your convenience forever."
As she walked out, messages were already flying between Earth and the human colonies. Something had changed. The Deathworlders had begun to stir. Admiral Taehyun Kim stood on the bridge of the HSS Defender, watching alien mining ships strip resources from Earth's asteroid belt.
His hands were clasped tightly behind his back. 6 months had passed since the deaths on Proxima Centauri 3, and things had only gotten worse.
"Sir, the Valbraxian extraction vessel is exceeding their quota again," reported Lieutenant Do-hyun, his eyes fixed on the monitoring screen.
"Record it," Taehyun ordered quietly. "Add it to our evidence file." "Yes, sir." "But..." Do-hyun hesitated. "This is the 7th violation this month. When will someone act on our reports?" Taehyun had no answer.
Each complaint to the Confederation resulted in investigations that found no wrongdoing.
Meanwhile, Earth and its colonies grew poorer while alien worlds prospered from human resources.
The communications officer suddenly straightened in her seat. "Admiral, distress call from the civilian transport New Horizon.
They're under fire."
Taehyun moved swiftly to her station.
"Location? Mars orbital path, sir. They report an Orvani patrol vessel is firing on them. The transport has families aboard." "Set course, maximum speed," Taehyun ordered. "Alert medical to prepare for casualties."
As the Defender changed course, a priority message flashed on the command screen.
Taehyun read it with growing anger.
"Confederation Command orders us to stand down," he said.
"They're classifying this as a security exercise." The bridge fell silent as the crew processed this information. "But sir," said Do-hyun, "those are civilian transports. We can see them taking damage." Taehyun stared at the long-range sensors showing the New Horizon desperately evading weapons fire.
His orders were clear. His conscience was clearer.
"Maintain intercept course," he decided. "Record everything. We will provide humanitarian assistance as required by space law." When the Defender arrived, the Orvani vessel quickly broke off its attack.
The transport had suffered significant damage, with 7 injured passengers, including 2 children. Later, Taehyun faced a disciplinary hearing via holographic link. "You were ordered to stand down," said the Confederation security chief, a tall Mendaxian whose blue skin pulsed with irritation. "I responded to a distress call as required by Confederation space treaties," Taehyun replied evenly. "The Orvani were conducting authorized security operations. The transport failed to provide proper identification." "The transport provided identification 6 times. We have the communications logs."
The Mendaxian waved dismissively. "Your logs are irrelevant. This matter is closed. Your ships will remain in Earth orbit for the next 30 days as penalty."
After the hearing, Taehyun contacted Defense Minister Hyojin Kong directly.
"They're not even pretending anymore," he said, sending her the sensor data from the incident.
The Orvani were targeting the engines and life support systems.
Hyojin's expression was grim.
Similar incidents have happened near 3 other colonies this month. And now the Orvani ambassador is demanding settlement rights on Mars.
Mars? That's our primary colony.
They claim they need a forward base for security operations.
The Confederation Council is backing them.
Taehyun rubbed his forehead.
"What happens if we refuse?" "They'll impose sanctions on all human colonies.
No trade, no transit rights."
That evening, Taehyun met with Commander Jaiwan Park at the secure human compound on Earth.
They walked through a small garden, away from potential listening devices.
The Orvani are building warships, Jaiwan said quietly. I've seen the intelligence reports. They're preparing for something big. And we're being systematically weakened, Taehyun noted. Resource extraction, movement restrictions, and now they want Mars? Jaiwan nodded. I think they've always been afraid of us. Deathworlders with technology who might one day challenge them. So they keep us down while they can. Exactly.
She stopped by a small pond.
Have you seen the latest medical reports? The ones the council refused to discuss? Taehyun shook his head.
3 alien species have developed severe allergic reactions to human presence. They're using it to justify segregated facilities on all Confederation stations.
Convenient timing, Taehyun muttered. A messenger approached quickly, handing Jaiwan a data tablet. Her face paled as she read it. What is it? Taehyun asked. The council just approved the Orvani settlement on Mars. Construction begins next month. She looked up, eyes hard. And human residents in the settlement area are to be relocated. They can't just move our people. They can and they are.
It's being called a security necessity. Later that night, emergency meetings took place across human space. On colony worlds, in space stations, and on Earth itself, military leaders and civilian authorities shared information that painted a disturbing picture. In her private quarters, Jaiwan reviewed footage secretly recorded by her aide. It showed Confederation representatives discussing humans when they thought no one was listening. The Deathworlders must never be allowed to realize their potential, said one alien diplomat to another. The protocols are working.
Within a generation, they will be fully dependent on Confederation support. Jaiwan shut off the recording and stared out her window at the night sky. The stars that once promised opportunity now seemed to hold danger.
Humanity had reached out in friendship and found exploitation instead. She opened a secure channel to Taehyun and Hyojin. We need to talk about Plan Enough, she said simply.
I think it's time. Commander Jaiwan Park's hand trembled as she reviewed the images from Europa.
The school colony's dome had been breached during what the Confederation called a routine inspection.
37 children and 12 adults had died before emergency systems sealed the rupture.
She zoomed in on one image, a small teddy bear floating in the frozen corridor. An unfortunate security measure, the Confederation spokesperson had explained.
The human colonists resisted inspection protocols. But Jaiwan had obtained the colony's security footage.
It showed Confederation security forces overriding safety locks after the human administrator asked to see their inspection authorization. They had intentionally disabled the warning systems. The door to her office slid open as Defense Minister Hyojin entered, her face pale with anger.
Have you seen this?
Hyojin asked, setting down a tablet with the Confederation's official statement.
Yes. They're calling it an accident.
It was murder.
Hyojin's voice was flat. Those children were killed to send us a message. Jaiwan's communication device chimed. Admiral Taehyun's face appeared on screen.
Please tell me you're mobilizing to Europa, Jaiwan said without greeting.
Taehyun's jaw tightened. I've been expressly forbidden from moving any vessels.
The Confederation has classified this as an internal security matter. Those were children, Taehyun.
I know. My sister's family was among them.
His voice broke slightly.
My niece was supposed to start school next week.
Jaiwan closed her eyes briefly.
I'm so sorry.
The Confederation Council is meeting tomorrow, Taehyun said, regaining his composure.
What will you do? I'll demand justice. For all the good it will do. After the call ended, Hyojin revealed more bad news.
Intelligence reports that the Council will vote to place all human military assets under direct Confederation control tomorrow.
They can't do that. Our treaty guarantees. The treaty means nothing to them, Hyojin interrupted. They've already drafted the resolution.
It cites security concerns and the need to protect humanity from its own aggressive tendencies.
That night, neither woman slept. They reviewed their limited options until dawn.
The next morning, the Confederation Council chamber was unusually full. Representatives from all member species had come to watch the humans be stripped of their last meaningful protection. Jaiwan took her seat, noting how the other representatives gave her a wide berth.
The Europa incident had increased their fear of unpredictable Deathworlders.
Before we begin formal proceedings, Jaiwan said, standing, I request the floor to address the tragedy on Europa. The council president, a tall Mendaxian, shook his head.
That matter is not on today's agenda.
We will proceed with scheduled business.
37 children died. We demand an investigation.
The matter has been investigated and resolved, the president replied coldly. The agenda stands.
For 4 hours, Jaiwan repeatedly requested to speak about Europa.
Each time, she was denied. She watched in growing anger as representatives who had never set foot on Earth discussed the inherent danger of allowing humans to control their own defense forces. When the vote finally came, it passed with only one dissenting voice, her own. As of today, the council president announced, all human military vessels and personnel will operate under direct Confederation command.
Admiral Kim will report to Confederation Security Central tomorrow to facilitate the transfer.
Jaiwan stood slowly.
The chamber fell silent, expecting a protest.
Instead, she calmly removed her Confederation insignia pin, placed it on the table, and walked out without a word. That night, on the secret secure facility beneath Luna Base, human leaders gathered in person for the first time in years. Jaiwan, Taehyun, and Hyojin sat with colony representatives and military commanders around a table carved from lunar stone.
No electronic devices were permitted in the room.
They've taken everything, said Juna, the Europa colony's surviving administrator. Her face was lined with grief. Our resources, our rights, and now our children. And tomorrow they take our ability to defend ourselves, Taehyun added.
Hyojin looked around the table.
You've all been briefed on protocol enough.
Today we must decide if it's time. Protocol enough was the contingency plan developed in secret since humans first encountered the Confederation.
A plan they had hoped never to use.
The Confederation believes they know our capabilities, Jaiwan said quietly. They think they've seen all we can do, all we can be.
They classify us as Deathworlders but don't understand what that really means, Taehyun continued. They think our strength is just physical.
We tried diplomacy, said Hyojin. We followed their rules. We showed restraint when they took advantage. We stayed silent when they hurt us.
One by one, each leader at the table spoke of losses, of humiliations, of promises broken. As the final colony representative finished, Hyojin stood. Tomorrow, the Confederation expects Admiral Kim to surrender our fleet. They expect us to bow our heads and accept that our children died in an unfortunate accident.
They expect Deathworlders to submit.
She looked at each face around the table. I say we show them what Deathworlders do when pushed too far.
The vote was unanimous. Protocol enough would begin at dawn. As the meeting ended, Taehyun approached Jaiwan.
Are you certain?
Once we do this, there's no going back. Jaiwan thought of the teddy bear in the frozen corridor.
We tried being nice, she said simply.
Look where it got us.
The Orvani inspection fleet approached Earth with confidence. 5 large warships and 12 support vessels moved in perfect formation, the most impressive show of force the Confederation had ever sent to human space.
Commander Zell of the lead ship, Righteous Dominion, smiled as he viewed Earth on his command screen. Today marked the final step in securing Confederation control over these troublesome Deathworlders. Status report, Zell ordered. Human defense satellites remain passive, Commander, his officer replied. Orbital platforms show minimal power signatures. Admiral Kim's fleet awaits our arrival in Earth orbit. Excellent. Signal the fleet to maintain formation. Remind all captains that humans may become emotional during the transfer process. As they passed the moon, Zell noticed something odd. His sensor officer had reported 16 orbital platforms around Earth, but Zell could now count 23. Run a full sensor sweep, he ordered. Verify all orbital structures.
Before the officer could respond, a communication request came through from Admiral Kim's flagship.
Accept the transmission, Zell said, straightening in his command chair. Admiral Taehyun Kim appeared on screen, his expression calm and formal in his uniform. Greetings, Commander Zell. This is Admiral Kim of the Human Systems Defense Force. Human Systems Defense Force? Zell repeated. Your organization is now under Confederation command. The correct designation is Confederation Security Division, Earth Sector. Taehyun smiled slightly.
I'm afraid there's been a change of plans. As of this morning, Earth and all human colonies have withdrawn from the Confederation.
We will no longer be transferring our defense forces to your command. Zell laughed. You cannot withdraw without Council approval. This is simply a delay tactic.
It is not a request or a negotiation, Taehyun said.
It is a statement of fact.
All Confederation vessels are ordered to withdraw from human space immediately.
Or what? Zell sneered.
Your outdated ships are no match for our fleet. Your orbital defenses are basic monitoring stations.
The Council has fully analyzed human capabilities.
Taehyun's smile widened slightly.
Have they really? At that moment, Zell's tactical officer called out in alarm. Commander!
Energy signatures are increasing all across human space. On Earth, Defense Minister Hyojin gave the command from the Underground Control Center.
Disable the limiters. All stations, reveal true capabilities. Across human territory, a remarkable transformation began. The weather satellites around Earth suddenly emitted powerful energy fields.
The human ships, thought to be simple patrol vessels, opened previously hidden weapon ports. Mining stations throughout the asteroid belt revealed defense arrays. On the Righteous Dominion, panic spread through the command center.
Impossible. Zell gasped as new readings flooded his screens. These energy signatures are triple what our intelligence reported.
The human ships, supposedly inferior in every way, were suddenly showing power readings that matched or exceeded his own vessels.
More alarming, each Earth orbital platform now projected defensive fields stronger than anything in the Orvani arsenal.
They've been hiding their true capabilities, his tactical officer whispered.
All this time.
On the communication screen, Taehyun remained calm. For 10 years, we've used only a fraction of our technology.
We wanted peace, not confrontation. We followed your rules, accepted your limits, and showed you only what you expected to see. As he spoke, human ships moved into perfect formation around the Orvani fleet.
Not attacking, simply positioning themselves with unmistakable precision.
In the Confederation Council chambers, Jaiwon Park appeared before the stunned representatives. No longer wearing Confederation colors, she now wore the simple blue uniform of the newly formed Human Alliance. What is the meaning of this? Demanded the Council President.
Your ships are violating direct orders.
Jaiwon placed a data crystal on the central table. This contains evidence of Confederation crimes against humanity. The deaths on Europa were not accidents.
The resource theft was not mutual exchange.
The military restrictions were not for safety.
The crystal projected images around the chamber, the children killed on Europa, the mining colonies stripped bare, the security exercises that targeted human ships.
We came to you as friends, Jaiwon continued. We accepted being called Deathworlders as if it were something shameful. But you never understood what that really means. Back in Earth orbit, Zell watched helplessly as his weapon systems went suddenly offline. What have you done? He demanded.
Nothing harmful, Taehyun assured him. A simple electromagnetic pulse calibrated specifically to your technology. Your life support and navigation remain functional. You simply can't fire on us now.
This is an act of war. No. The attacks on our colonies were acts of war.
The children killed on Europa, that was an act of war. Taehyun's voice remained level. This is simply a demonstration of what Deathworlders could have done at any time, had we chosen violence over cooperation.
Across human space, similar scenes played out.
Confederation mining operations found themselves suddenly surrounded by human forces.
Transit points were secured.
Colonies revealed defensive capabilities that had been hidden for years. Not a single shot was fired.
There was no need. The demonstration was enough. On Luna Base, Hyojin watched the sensor readings with satisfaction.
Send the signal to all human settlements, she ordered.
Operation Enough is proceeding as planned. The age of pretending to be less than they were had ended. Humanity had finally stopped being nice. The Orvani war fleet entered the Sol system 3 days after humanity's demonstration.
20 warships, the pride of their species, moved with deadly purpose toward Earth. Commander Zell, still smarting from his humiliation, had convinced the Orvani High Command that a swift, overwhelming response was needed. The humans caught us by surprise once, he told his captains during the final briefing.
They will not do so again. Our combined firepower will force their surrender.
The fleet accelerated past Jupiter, weapons systems fully charged.
Zell allowed himself a smile. The Deathworlders would learn their proper place. At the edge of Mars' orbit, the Orvani ships suddenly dropped out of faster-than-light travel.
Before them floated a single human vessel, barely a quarter the size of Zell's flagship.
They send one ship? Zell laughed. Open communications. I want to see their fear when they face real power.
Admiral Taehyun Kim appeared on screen, looking remarkably calm for someone facing 20 warships.
This is your only warning, Taehyun said simply. Return to Orvani space immediately. Zell's skin flushed dark blue with anger. You dare to threaten the might of the Orvani?
Your ship will be the first to burn. He cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Target their vessel and fire when ready. The officer pressed the firing controls.
Nothing happened. Weapons are not responding, Commander.
Engine power is dropping, called another officer.
Across the Orvani fleet, the same scene repeated. Systems failed.
Engines powered down to minimum life support levels.
Weapons remained stubbornly offline.
Taehyun's face reappeared on the main screen of every Orvani ship simultaneously. We seeded this region with microscopic drones last year, he explained calmly.
They've been dormant until now. They've entered your ships through your intake valves and disabled your offensive capabilities.
Zell's mouth opened and closed without sound. We could have done this at any time, Taehyun continued.
We could have disabled every Confederation vessel that entered our space. Instead, we tried diplomacy.
In the Confederation Council chambers on Station Alpha, emergency sessions had been ongoing for days. Species that had dismissed humans as primitive now watched in shock as their military experts revised assessment after assessment of human capabilities. Jaiwan Park stood before them, calm and composed.
The Mendaxian representative has asked why we hid our true capabilities, she said. The answer is simple: we wanted to be friends, not threats. Each time we revealed technology, you responded with fear. So we showed you only what you could accept. A Valbraxian delegate rose. If you wished peace, why this demonstration of power now? Because you mistook our restraint for weakness, Jaiwan replied.
You took our resources, killed our people, and planned to take control of our military.
When we could no longer protect our children through cooperation, we had to show you the truth.
On a small world near the edge of Confederation space, something unexpected was happening. The Terrex, another species classified as Deathworlders, had begun removing the limiters from their own technology. Inspired by humanity's stand, they too revealed capabilities they had hidden for generations.
2 more Deathworld species followed in the coming weeks.
Back on Earth, Defense Minister Hyojin met with representatives from these fellow Deathworld species. Together they formed the Resilient Worlds Alliance, a new power bloc that would negotiate with the Confederation as equals, not subjects. 6 weeks after humanity's demonstration, the Confederation Council approved a new treaty.
The document acknowledged the sovereignty of Deathworld species and established fair trade protocols. Most importantly, it formally apologized for the deaths on Europa and promised reparations to the families. Admiral Taehyun and Commander Jaiwan stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station, watching the treaty signing ceremony. "Do you think they understand us better now?" Taehyun asked quietly. Jaiwan studied the alien representatives, noting how differently they behaved toward the human delegation. The fear was still there, but now mixed with respect. "They're beginning to," she replied. "They never understood what being a Deathworlder really means. We don't just have stronger bodies, we have stronger wills. We don't just survive, we adapt." Below them, Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space. Human ships moved freely through the system, no longer hiding their true capabilities. On Mars, the planned Orvani settlement had been replaced with a multi-species diplomatic center where representatives could meet as equals. "We tried so hard to be what they wanted," Taehyun said. "To be less threatening, less human. And all it got us was exploitation and dead children." Jaiwan's voice held no bitterness now, only certainty. "Being peaceful doesn't mean being weak. What happens when the next crisis comes?" Jaiwan smiled slightly. "We'll try diplomacy first, as we always have. But now they know what happens when Deathworlders stop being nice." Around them, the new galactic order took shape, not built on fear or domination, but on mutual respect. The Deathworlders had proven they could destroy if they wished, but chose instead to build. That, perhaps, was the most important lesson of all.